Japan. I'm coming back to you. There in old Japan.
And welcome back to the Nihon Madoguchi Podcast with your host, Domo. And
Marty, what's up, everyone?
how you
Today
guys doing?
there is quite a lot of background changes.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, they started last time, technically last time from when we recorded, but not last time when we released the episode on YouTube,
Yeah.
because we did the episode about the post-war Japan last week, and we skipped the line of the episode that we have already recorded. So now it is live on YouTube and has very few views. Hopefully, it's only YouTube censoring us and not a topic that does not interest anyone.
Uh,
But any case,
True. True. It was quite a heavy topic, yes.
yeah,
So that
let's
makes
hope so.
sense.
I mean, let's see if we will pick up some views by then. But finger crossed. That's
Yeah,
all we can
hopefully.
say.
That's all
So
we can hope for. Get some people watching the video.
yeah, that's the goal of that. Maybe Domo, you can explain for the English base why there is a huge TV behind your back.
Yes. So as you guys now should know, because I mentioned in the previous episode, but not the previous episode to this episode, previous for us, I moved. I'm in a new place now. I'm no longer in Ureshino. I'm no longer in the city of beautiful hot springs, the skin beautifying hot springs and tea. Unfortunate, but now I'm living with the wife. Living with my wife. It's lovely, beautiful,
Nice,
great
nice.
times. And in the previous episode, I recorded on the second floor in our room, and there the background was just white with a little brown kind of like little thing at the top of the wall. But now I'm recording like this episode. I'm recording on the first floor where we have our TV, and you probably can't see it. There's a plant right
Yeah, no, it's
here.
it's cut from my end, so
I see.
I can see it,
Fair
but the
enough. Fair
viewers
enough.
cannot see it.
Ah, true. Well, don't worry about the plant too much. It might make an appearance. It might not make an appearance. But that's the reason why I have a big TV behind me in this episode.
Right.
I am in a different location, basically, just
Altogether.
in the same house, just on the first floor. And this will probably be the normal spot.
Right.
Just record down here, outside of the room, so my wife can go up in the room and chillax there.
Nice. So as you can see, my background is a little bit different as well.
It is.
I have not moved. In the strict term of I have not changed my house, but I have changed the disposition of my room that I use usually for recording.
Oh,
So as you can see here, this whole library used to be over there. I moved everything. Took me a whole day.
oh.
It is a very bad PR for cultivated people. Don't buy books; they are heavy.
You do have a lot of books I can see.
I do.
I see a lot of manga. I don't think, is that Hajime no Ippo at the top?
So Hajime no Ippo is behind this layer. So
Okay, that's what
I
I
have
thought.
two
Yeah, the top.
layers.
Yeah.
So as you can see, this is JoJo. Here,
Yeah.
here you have Dan, and behind
Okay.
Dan and JoJo, you have a whole Hajime no Ippo. And
okay.
you have some original cells. So the thing is that I switched. I was meant to say this as well, but I switched the left and right from my screen because otherwise, when I show something that has written things, it gets switched. But I'm not used to that. I'm very bad at handling the. So if I point in this direction, I'm actually pointing in this direction, and I am a little bit. I have to get used to that. So if you see me gesticulating a little bit randomly. So yes, here I have let's say the longest series that I have, which take way too much place. But here behind me, it's actually 160 meters times 160. It is a square, I think.
Oh wow!
And it's full, very full.
160. Ooh.
Centimeters by 160 centimeters. Yes.
Because I remember you mentioned to me about this bookshelf, and I was looking. I saw it is quite large.
Right.
And
you can see the whole
because
picture.
I also just moved. Yeah, I also just moved. I don't have a lot of manga. I
Mm,
have a decent amount of manga. Definitely compared to the manga king here,
mama.
it's just a drop in the ocean. But I have a lot of non-manga books related books.
Mm,
A lot of books related to studies, my Japanese studies and stuff like that, and even some non-Japanese study related books, just regular fiction, not fiction. I don't have any fictional books. Don't. That's a lie. Non-fiction, like self-help books and things like that. So I am thinking about getting the kind of exact same bookshelf that Marty has in the background there. And it does look like it holds the books quite well.
ah,
I might need to
yes,
consider getting it.
yes, it does, it
Um,
does.
yeah,
And
so I'm just like thinking about where to put it in here.
well,
Is the question?
without being sponsored by IKEA, because it's this is from IKEA, they come in different sizes and shapes. You can, when you buy it, you can actually give the specifics of the library that you want. So basically, it's built in units of squares. So you can have 1 unit, 2 units, 4 units, 4 units. So it really depends on how you want your shelf or your like tidying up thing to be. I think I chose the second biggest one, second to last biggest one, because of the sheer amount of books that I have,
Yeah,
and it is pretty much filled. You can see without sponsoring too much IKEA. So you have three. You can store three different lines of books that are like normal manga size. So here I have 1, 2, 3, and you can also, if you don't have enough space, you can, as you can see here, go fill this kind of
yeah.
space as well. So, and it is surprisingly sturdy for what it is. It's not wood, it's like compensated wood. So it's like this kind of wood mesh, but it does not. It handles weight quite well. So IKEA makes good things sometimes.
No, like honestly, so when I moved, I ended up having two full boxes, like large boxes of
Wow,
books.
that's a lot.
And so I was like, oh no, I didn't think I had that many books. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, I need to figure out which um like size would fit, we'll be able to fit all the books and then where to put that here in this
Mm.
house. Because obviously I moved in with my wife and she already has things already
Of course.
around.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just kind of figure out like moving stuff. If I could put something right here, maybe something over here. We have a cat too, and the cage is like right over here. Um, our room upstairs isn't super big, so it's
You have to
it might
fill
not
in
be
the
able to.
spots.
If we I'd have to really like do some Tetris, moving things, putting them in tight spaces and things like that to get it to work. But that's another
Another
topic
topic.
for
Yeah,
another episode, another time.
definitely.
Um, but Marty, since we've gotten all the housekeeping and
Yes.
kind of small talk out of the way, um, I know you had a topic for us today that you wanted to talk about.
Rather than a topic, it's more a request from me to you because
Um,
I don't have much to share about this. Today we wanted to talk about work culture in Japan, what it is like to work in Japan, what it's like to work with Japanese people,
mm,
and everything that may come up from this discussion. The idea being to share with you some of our experiences, mostly Domo, because I don't have much experience working in an office with Japanese people
uh,
daily. My job is more freelancing from home, so I have some interaction, but I'm not, if you want to say, the more typical person that works with Japanese. I have
yeah,
some
yeah.
secondhand information from my wife, from some people that I met,
Mm,
but I cannot say for sure this is my experience. That is why today will be mainly handled by Domo. I will ask him question and he will be very happy to reply
sure,
or
sure.
not.
I, I have a lot of experience. At least now, 4 to 5 years of experience working in the city hall of Udeshino. So that, I have a lot to say about workplace culture in Japan and what it's like to work with Japanese people. What the day to day is like. Taking vacation, all that good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I
Looking
can
forward.
provide you guys with that. Yeah,
Very,
no worries.
it will be a very, very helpful episode for me as well. I'm very curious. I would say we can start off very lightly with,
Sure.
let's say, icebreaker question is working with Japanese people that different or that puzzling for foreigners, would you say? Or because there is kind of a stereotype of the Japanese, like one whole entity. It's almost like there are no
Yeah.
individuals into the Japanese, the image that we have of working with Japanese. So first thing first, is this really a thing? I suppose not to the extent we portray in the West, but Domo, what is your feeling about working with the Japanese?
So, if I have what I'm gonna say from here on out is gonna be, my only what I've noticed from my experience.
Of course.
I can't overgeneralize and say that all Japanese companies in every place in Japan, all over the country, is like this. As a matter of fact, I would say,
Before we delve into the topic, be careful to not be too specific. Just try
yes.
to be, don't give too much detailed information or private information.
Yeah.
Keep it general enough that if your coworker listen
Yeah.
to your saying, they will not be like, "Oh, he's talking bad about me." So
I'll say this. There isn't much bad to say about my current job.
nice.
So to get to your question, um, so my workplace in particular, in specific, uh, is right. I work at the city hall, or I mean, currently still working at the city hall, and the city hall in and of itself is kind of like a special kind of like work environment compared to a normal Japanese company, and it's I would say it's mostly because you're a civil servant, working for the city, and because of that, a lot of things are very, rigid, structured by the book. You have to do it one way or like this way or the highway, and because of that, it does make trying to do say new things a bit difficult. You gotta go jump through a bunch of hoops to get it. You gotta get a budget, create and stuff like that. And that aspect of it might not be too different from the West, right? Trying to do a new initiative. You gotta write up a plan and stuff like that. But working with being like the sole foreigner in a room full of Japanese people. I don't know what you may have heard about this, or like our audience, our listeners. I don't know what you guys may have heard about it. And I would say it's half true, half not true. In the sense that uniformity is valued, obviously, in most places in Japan. The what is it the
saying,
kui,
the nails that sticks
the
gets
nail that
hammered
sticks.
down.
I was like, what the nail sticks up gets hammered down. So I couldn't remember what kui was. So the nail sticks up gets hammered down. So you do want to be like everyone else,
Right.
whether that's your attire, your appearance, keeping your beard and stuff shaved, keep it trimmed and shaved up and stuff like that. Now, where I'll say my workplace is different is, as you can see, I went to work today and I have a beard. They because they know I'm a foreigner, they know I'm not Japanese, right? Even though I do speak Japanese fluently and am aware of the cultural norms and customs in Japan, they don't treat me 100% like they would treat another Japanese person if they were, in my position.
Right.
I do have a little bit of leniency in that regard. Now, I can't say that will that goes for all places, I imagine most places typically wouldn't show you that leniency. I don't know why they show me the leniency and why they continue to show this leniency, but they do, and I'm not upset about it. Now, if they were to say you got to cut the beard, you got to stay clean, I wouldn't be mad because um I used to work at McDonald's way back in the day, and I was a manager. I ended up becoming a manager there, and one of the rules was no beards. You can keep a mustache, but this had to go, and I had to stay clean shaven like every day. So it wouldn't have been a foreign thing for me, but and I do notice a lot of some other Japanese people, starting to like grow it out just a little bit. Like, it'll start growing in and then they'll cut it off. But you don't really see anyone like full on beard, out serving the people.
Also because they tend to not have a lot of pilosity to begin with.
It's true.
One must
It's
say.
true. No, it's true. And aside from that, like I'm also here on the JET program, which is in and of itself kind of like a special kind of like position.
Right.
If I were to have applied, like take the test, the hiring exam and pass like a normal citizen, normal Japanese person, I'd probably be getting the same treatment as your everyday Japanese civil worker.
Right.
However, since I came on the JET program in my position, the coordinator of international relations is like it's like a separate entity from the rest of my department. I'm just kind of like doing my own thing.
Right.
I really don't have a lot of like interaction with my coworkers on the day to day, except for my supervisor, because he has to like oversee what I do. He does give me, other tasks and stuff to do that aren't related to, my actual work. But I'm kind of like isolated for the most part. Which again, if you come to work in Japan like a not on the JET program, just like a regular way, you'll probably have a vastly different experience than I've had these past 4 years.
Probably
And
so,
I'll answer the question there, the answer there before
Thank
I
you very
keep
much.
going on. Yeah.
No issues. I would say, following up on this general question, a second rather general question would be, have you ever felt like there was some kind of cultural incomprehension at your workplace? Maybe not something that was too deep or too affecting your work, even trivial things, but something that made you realize that there is like a kind of miscommunication, a kind of gap in between my way of doing things, my way of being, and how your coworker would be. Like something that took you some time to understand, realize, process, and adopt. Or likewise, was there something that they needed some time, some interactions to get used to, if any, or maybe there was anything of such nature?
So I can think of two specific examples, like right now off the top of my head, of things that I did that were just one is quite light, like it was just like, oh, I didn't know that. Actually, both of them were I didn't know that kind of like thing. Um, and then, but one of the examples I'm going to give was like, that makes sense. I didn't, yeah. Now that you mention it, that does make sense. The other one, to this day, I still don't really get it, but I make sure to follow it. And so I'll start with the light one. Well, they're both light, but so for the first example would be when you eat lunch, and for me, I didn't have a bento. I didn't bring my own lunch. I didn't pack a lunch, and so I went to the convenience. I went to the convenience store and got my own lunch. Just bought it there, and didn't get a bag. Right, didn't get a plastic bag. I didn't buy a lot. I bought like a tamago sando and some chips, maybe a drink. I could carry that in my hands. It's fine. And no, actually no. I guess that day I had gotten I didn't get a tamago. I got a bolognese
Oh, wow.
pasta. Bolognese pasta, kind of like
A
it's
big
like a
dish.
frozen, like when in the frozen section, yeah. And it looked really good, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to eat this. And so I got it. I didn't ask them to warm it up at the store, at the convenience store. I was like, I'll take it back. We have a microwave in the office, so I was like, I'll just warm it up there. And so I didn't need. I still didn't need a bag, right? That's the point I want to get across.
The
No,
choice.
I did not bring a bag. And so I get back to the office. I'm eating. Uh, I finish eating, and I throw away my bolognese, bolognese. I don't even know why you say it in English. The bolognese, like container, and I throw it in the moe de gomi. That's where it belongs.
Right.
It's boom, throw it in there. Great, cool, no problem there. And at that time, even now to this day, after I eat, I take like a 30-minute walk. I go on a little walk around the town for a little bit, and then I come back and I'll resume work. And when I came back, my then supervisor, who's different from my current supervisor, she was my very first supervisor. She had told me, she was like, "Oh, Domo, did you throw away? Did you eat the bolognese pasta?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And she was like, So, and I don't know if you know this, Marty. And it might be a Udeshino thing. I don't know.
Right.
But she had said that when you throw away your garbage in the big community garbage, you should, especially if it's something like bolognese that still has like sauce on it and stuff like that.
Something dirty.
You don't just want to put it in there. You want to put it in a bag, wrap it up, and then throw it in that way. And I was like, what? It's garbage. It's going to the same. It's fine. I don't. What's the issue here? It's in the garbage. It's not incorrectly thrown away. No one's gonna dig in the garbage. And I was like, oh, really? I didn't know that. And her reasoning was one, obviously, right? Just to keep it clean, keep the garbage clean. And because at the end of the day, we have one of the staff members, one of the people in the office will go around and collect all the garbage from the smaller garbage cans in near the desks. She'll go around and collect them, and so she has to take the communal garbage bag and then go around and dump stuff in there. So she might it might get on her hands and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right, I hear you.
Makes sense.
I can see what you mean there. So from that point on, whenever I go to the combini to get, lunch or something, no matter how small, how few items I get, I always get a bag so that I can wrap it up and toss it away. Just in case, even if you get like a egg sandwich, there'll be like some eggs like stuck on the wrapper, so you never know. Yeah.
So you're confirming the stereotype that a lot of Japanese people complain about, that foreigners are not able to throw away the trash properly.
Yeah. I think if my supervisor hadn't told me, someone else probably would have said something.
At some point, yes.
And she said it. She was. I'm gonna tell you because I don't want someone to get upset with you, and be mean about it and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. And let's cut right there.
Sure. There has been some white noise in the background. That is this boy here is the culprit. Here he's very cute, but and cut again. So after this brief technical interaction, we are back at today's topic with Marty and Omo. Today we're talking about things related to work culture, work in Japan. So in the previous episodes of Nihon no Madoguchi Podcast, we were talking about trash management, which seems to be, to some extent, it's sometimes a meme that foreigners are not able to process trash as to meet the standards of the Japanese people. But actually, Domo confirmed that I would say, if I can add on this matter more from like going a little bit outside of the work perspective and like extend this observation on a general thing, what your supervisor said also ties to a more broader idea of thinking about the other that it's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
some to a certain extent. For the time being, we're not sure what is going on in the future, but for the time being, present Japan is still like a value, a social value, a social thing, something that we do think about the repercussion that our own behavior may have on the other people, more than what we do in the West. Not 100%. I'm not saying that Japanese people sacrifice themselves to the greater good or something, not to that extent, but there is more attention toward the other, toward not
Yeah.
bothering the other person. So, yes, that's interesting actually. That mean it gives an idea of understanding Japanese culture, just being more attentive to the other person or
True,
doubting
true, true.
our own action. In is my action creating some kind of discomfort to the other people? What is the ripples of my action? Is a question that is more often, even I wouldn't say actively
Yeah.
done by Japanese, but in a more I don't get the word. 無意識的に
Unconscious.
unconscious. Yeah, because I was
Yeah,
looking at the word with
yeah,
an I and not with a U, not
yeah, yeah,
being native. Unconsciously,
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
they think more. They have a more propense attitude toward this. Interesting. That was a very interesting testimony about some minor data that may not be minor in the grand scope of things. But Domo, you were saying that you
True.
had another that you still don't understand to this day thing that happened at work.
No, no. I understand it. It's just that I didn't at the time. It
Mm.
didn't occur to me that I should do this, even
Mm-hmm.
though it was something that like it was like, oh, duh, that makes sense. Yeah,
Right.
why didn't I do it? Um, and that thing is on the first day that I went into the office. Uh, I don't really have a lot of work, anything. I do I go around and greet everyone, tell everyone, hey, do my self introductions, just show my face so people know that I'm here. And, come back to the office, I'm just getting my desk ready and things like that. Then it comes time to leave. And uh Marty, let me ask you this question. Um
I fear
when you
this cat.
leave any place in Japan, what do you say when you leave that place?
Uh,
When you leave, let's take it back. When you leave,
Professional wise,
uh,
right?
yeah, when you leave like the workplace, or if you leave,
Hmm.
say, a meeting, or you leave your club activities, you're like you're leaving
Right.
before everyone else.
Yes.
What do you say?
I think this is a tricky question, but I would say 先に失礼します, which means I acknowledge that I'm leaving earlier than you guys. But
Yes.
if you're asking me this question, it means that it is not the correct formula, right?
Okay. Now what? No, that you do say that, and then what comes after that?
Ah, I see. So usually you would say お疲れ様です. But if you're leaving earlier, are you entitled to say お疲れ様です to people that are still working?
So that's the thing. Like I wasn't
Uh,
when the first day, I'll finish work, and now I finish work, and I just leave. I say no words.
oh,
I don't
that's
say
interesting. That's
"osaki
a
ni
big,
shiteshimasu."
but that is
I
not
just
Japan. That's
it's
everywhere.
not Japan at
That's
all,
everywhere.
right? So it's uh it's I didn't think anything of it.
Mm-mm.
I left and went home, had a nice night, and then came back the next morning. They were like, "You didn't say what's got some of this or osaki ni shiteshimasu," and I was like, yeah. uh, I was like, "Oh yeah." I didn't say like I have experience in the table tennis club at Q's University,
Right.
right? And when you leave the the room after you finish, everyone's finished practicing, get ready to leave. When you leave, you hit them with when you're leaving the room, stop,
Yes, yes.
and you leave, you bounce. You do that in any kind of like professional setting, right? Whether it's, I don't even want to call club activities professional settings, but you do those in professional settings as well.
Right.
And I didn't know that because I've never been at that point. I've never experienced working in a Japanese office.
Right.
I've never been in a professional setting where I had to use otsukare sama desu up until that point. But I had experienced the club activities. And after I left the club room, I would say otsukare sama desu, otsukare sama deshita, and then leave. So when she said that to me, like, you just left, you didn't say otsukare sama deshita, otsukare sama desu, I was like, oh, I guess you would do that here too. You would do that here too. Not just in the club activities. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
And and since that day, I make sure to we have two groups, two different like groups, and then two different departments in one room.
Right.
And so within one department we have two groups, and then outside of that department we have a whole different department over here. And I am a part of one department, and so when I'm leaving, I'll stand up. I hit him with a osaki seishimasu, and then hit him with this. I'll bow here, and then I'll look at the department head, and then I'll look at the other group over there. I hit everyone with the otsukare sama desu. Everyone's getting otsukare sama. I do multiple otsukare samas, and you don't need to. Really, all you need is a osaki ni seishimasu, otsukare sama deshita. One time a piece, and you're out. But ever since the first day where I messed up, I do it 3 times to see each section of the room, and then I leave to make sure everyone heard me say otsukare sama deshita.
You're allowed to leave. That's because you haven't consumed enough Japanese media, that you were not prepared to that. If you consume enough Japanese media, especially like drama that are in the professional world, probably at some point this kind of interaction is bound to happen, and that is why we always recommend to consume as much diverse media as possible. That will give you some, let's say, tips in life if you want to live in Japan. Of course, I will say, depend on the media, because if you go start throwing kamehameha at people, that's a huge NG.
They might not take kindly to that. No. They might take it as a threat, and they might pull out their katana and slice you in the middle of the road. But like I will say, to add on to Marty's comment, yes, use diverse media to help aid in your studies and help get that kind of exposure and get those tips in how to live and interact with Japanese people in Japan. Yeah. But make sure to make it active study rather than passive. I've watched a lot of Japanese drama, and I've seen a lot of those kind of interactions where they leave them but I was never using dramas as study material. Right. They were purely for I was using them for listening practice. Listening practice, and just purely for entertainment. I just wanted to get used to the sound of Japanese at that point. And I wasn't really paying attention to the actual interactions that they were having in the show. Even though, I was watching it, but it was never like, here one person bowed deeper than the other person because this person's of a higher status than this one. Or, this person said otsukare sama deshita, where this other guy said otsukare sama or sama deshita, like he just kind of shortened it because he's the boss and and they're the subordinate. And so it was so if you're gonna use the media for studying, where you want to get actual gain insights into Japanese workplace culture or if you're watching like slice of life stuff, Japanese school culture or any type of anything related to Japan, its culture, its people. And you're gonna do that through anime or manga or dramas or movies. Make sure to actively be studying rather than passively. Like make it a decision that I'm gonna gain some insight from
Yes.
this piece of media, and actually like try to analyze what they're doing and why they might be doing it, and then go on to like Google and further the research. Like you notice this, is this actually a thing that I need to be aware of, or or worried about when I actually go to Japan. Find some anecdotes, find some people's stories and things like that, and further your studies that way.
Definitely. Of course, exert your discretion as well. Apply a filter of the plausibility of things that you're seeing on screen. It's not like everything, because it's still media after all. So it's not like all the interaction will be one-on-one like you saw in drama or anime. But that can give you an idea. That can give you like some kind of social cues, like those not overly dramatized or overly focused on social cues that are more daily life kind of stuff. That could be, I mean, that's an option. That's how I learned some things, or rather, I started to recognize earlier. I saw that in somewhere, so I recognized that is actually something that is seen in real life. And of course, you should be allowed to do some mistakes as well, because you have your supervisor. I mean, in a normal context, you don't have a supervisor, so you have to exert some self attention, like self anything. Just be aware of the social place, the sociality you are into. But in your case, you had also a supervisor that could cue you in some important thing.
Yeah, she definitely helped me a lot, not just in regards to the work kind of like workplace culture, but more even just like outside of work, just Japanese culture in general, like things like funerals and how to go about preparing for those. What do
we made a video about that.
We did make a video about that.
Go check it out.
I will say with the you should check it out. And I guess I shouldn't spoil it here. You have to check out the video. But the thing that we talked about in that video, I didn't learn from her. I learned it from a different coworker.
Right.
So, but I digress. Right? She did help me with a lot of things in a lot of different ways. And I'm thankful, forever thankful for that. And right. So I will say, like again, this is my experience on the jet as a jet on the jet program. So if you don't come to Japan on the jet program, and even if you do come to Japan on the jet program, your experience could be totally different than what I've experienced. Especially if you're AOT, because I'm not an AOT. But even if you're a CIR, like the places where you'll be placed, the locations, and
the mission.
Like most of us end up, right. Most of us are in like government offices and things like that. But there are some who are working in museums. There are some who are working in the like the information center where you will find tourist information and stuff like that. Like in Tokyo, there are CIRs who do go to schools like AOTs. Like they're basically just a AOT who can speak Japanese. Like your job experience vast, like very so differently. Yeah.
You have just completely destroyed all the ELTs, because just a ELT that can speak Japanese implies that the ELT cannot speak Japanese. I found that
most of them can. It's the truth. I don't know what you want me to say. It's a job that doesn't require any Japanese.
It's an ALT friendly podcast. We must say that.
It is an ALT friendly podcast. I'm not here to discriminate against ALTs and prop up CIRs or anything like that. But
that was funny.
All I want to say in the end is what I've experienced is not what you may experience, right? Your mileage may vary.
So do we.
You could come to Japan. Yeah, you can come to Japan and have the word, like I've had people tell me stories of how their supervisor would hate them There'll be a variety of different reasons why, but one of the main reasons that you see is they hate. Hate might be a strong word. Dislike us because we like, especially if your supervisor is on a younger side.
Right.
We typically make more than they do,
Ah.
even though we might not be doing as much as they do in terms of work.
Right.
And some supervisors, some people will see that and be like, "Yo, this is unfair. What the heck's going on here?"
Okay.
And
Not to blame them.
they might try to make things tough on you on purpose because of that. And they might not be direct about that. They might not say that's the reason. They might not, it might not ever come out that that's the reason. But it's that has been that has happened more than once.
Right.
I've heard that from more than one person. So just don't, you can have expectations, coming here to Japan. You should have some expectations, but don't be shocked when things go differently than you planned or against your expectations.
That's very well said. That is the direction I was heading towards, because we're heading towards closure. I wanted to ask you maybe briefly, given the time, but
Sure.
one last question that would be also bring a closure to this first part of probably a sequence of episodes, because I think we have not distinguished the topic at all. Although
Sure.
I have nothing to say about, because I don't
No,
really
no.
know the Japanese work
Sure.
environment. One question that I wanted to ask you, Domo, as a closure, let's say, if you had the possibility to meet the version of yourself, the Domo that was about to go to Japan for the JET program, given what you have lived, of course, it's but of course, don't go like Back to the Future kind of things. Buy the lotto tickets that you will be a winner. Not this kind of tips, of course, that we all want to do, but more on a general side. Let's say you're talking to your old self. What would be the one tip, or what would be like the encouragements, or the thing that you want that would have saved you so much time or effort or whatever, had you know that before coming to Japan for the JET program? If you have anything.
That's a great question. And if I had to give one tip, right, I go back in time, I only got 5 minutes or something. I can only give him one tip.
Yes.
Before, what he should do, or what he should know, what I should know before coming to Japan is actually, just 1 second. I have a book. I have a quote that I would like to tell myself. And this is gonna come from a place of kind of, I don't want to say this. So I joined the JET program as a CIR because I didn't want to be ALT.
Right.
I wanted to do a job where I could utilize my Japanese and not have to speak English, essentially, right? I wanted to continuously improve in my Japanese, while also getting experience in the Japanese work culture, in the workforce, and things like that. So, however, if I already knew that I didn't want to be a civil servant. I knew that between the two jobs, ALT and CIR, I would probably enjoy being an ALT, like teaching more.
Right.
But I didn't want to teach English. So I was like, okay, and I'll probably be speaking English all the time. So I'll be a CIR where I can use Japanese more and also improve my Japanese and get experience working with Japanese in an all Japanese, kind of like workplace. And I was like, it's probably gonna suck. I'm just gonna get through it. Do the 2-3 years, because at that point I was coming to Japan. I just wanted to get to Japan, right? That was the whole goal. I just wanted to get here. And if I had to, come to Japan as a CIO and work in this government building, I don't really care about it, but it'll be okay. And to that, to me, who was thinking that and feeling that, he just kind of gonna come here and coast by. Um, I have a quote. It's kind of two. It's one quote. It's two quotes, but
Right.
it's by the same guy. So Andrew Johnson, the 17th president of the United States, president after Abraham Lincoln. He was, before he became president, he was a tailor, and he was a really good tailor, very reputable. Everyone knew his name because he made very quality clothing.
Mm.
And I guess I'll summarize this into one. There was when he was running for president, there was a heckler, in the crowd when he was doing a campaign speech, and they tried to like bring up his past of his humble beginnings of being a tailor, and how how can a tailor run the country, kind of thing. And he says, this is what he says word by word of the quote here.
Right.
That does not disconcert me in the least. My garments never ripped or gave way. When I used to be a tailor, I had the reputation of being a good one in making close fits, always punctual with my customers, and always did good work. And this is the idea of, no matter what job you end up doing in this world, you should give it 100% of your effort. Try your absolute best to make the most of it, so that even when you move on to something else, when you look back at it, you can say, you can feel good that you actually did your best, but others will also know you for someone who did good work. No one will ever have anything bad to say about you, even if you're a janitor. If you sweep the floors and mop the floors well, so much so that people don't notice, it's just always clean. You're doing a great job, and no one will have anything bad to say about you in that regard. And in the end, like, if someone does come up and be like, "Hey, you used to be a janitor," well, go to that building, look at some pictures of that building when I was a janitor, spotless. You'll never see a speck of dust anywhere. You can be proud of that. You can be proud of the work that you did during that time. And I will admit, my first couple of years here, although it was in the middle of COVID, I was just kind of coasting by. I didn't really apply myself as much as I could have. I didn't try to, at the beginning I did a little bit, but after a while, I just kind of, it's kind of like dying off, and just like, if they give me some work, I'll do it, kind of thing. Instead of trying to be proactive about, trying to come up with new things, new innovative things to do. And there's a part of me that's like, I wish I had done a little bit more.
Right.
So if I could go back in time, I would tell my past self that quote. I would show him that quote so that he could see that no matter what job you do, even if it's one that you don't like, you don't particularly want to do, you should still give it your best effort, 100%, and until you find something else. And yeah,
Perfect.
that's what I would do. Yeah.
I would say that's the best way to bring today's episode to a closure. I won't say anything else because you've already attained the best we
No.
could say. So, with your permission, I would bring this first episode about Japan work culture to a closure. And
That's good. This do me.
most important of all, as always, soy.